All right, everybody. Uh, Thanks for tuning in to Mimir as well. As you all know, I'm Shane. We have Brandon on the line, and we also have Luke here with us. If any of you have not been watching our YouTube channel as of late, I would recommend that you would to stay up to date with some of the changes that's going on with us here. But Luke is a new addition to Mimir as well. He's kind of helping us get a community started through Discord and a few other things. So I'll turn the mic over to Luke and, just have Luke introduce himself and say hello to everybody and, uh, you know, go from there. All right,
Yeah,
Luke.
so I'm Luke. I'm doing the Discord, trying to run things, get things started there, see if we can't branch out this podcast in a few different directions. And I'm relatively new to Heathenry in comparison to Brandon here. I've only been a heathen for about as long as I've known him, about a year longer. So I had the benefit of him being there for me when I, just came to the path, and he really pointed me in the right direction in a lot of places, especially when it came to physical strength. Brandon was the mentor, uh, and you know, it's good to have somebody there that also shares the faith, especially in a place like North Carolina where there's very few of us. But I
Growing.
yeah, we're growing. We're growing. We're slowly finding some more people around here. We'll see if we mesh with them or not.
I'm envious.
But yeah, yeah, yeah. Community is hard to find, and I think that's one of the things that I want to bring to the table here with Mimir as well is helping to grow the online community. Um, I think I want to give people that experience that I had, somebody to point me in the right direction. And if I can help provide that, or at least help point people to the right people, then I will have done something worthwhile, I think.
Yeah, I definitely
Which,
agree.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's
uh,
nice to feel like you can go and ask questions and have somebody willing to answer it because, unfortunately, I'm sure you've probably seen it. If you go and you try to ask certain questions to some people, they kind of like gatekeep answers or kind of treat you stupidly for like asking a question like, "Oh, you should know this already." And a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot to learn in this. There's a lot of meticulous things combined with a lot of other stuff that's just kind of very faint as far as like descriptions and like, like, hey, this should be this way. It's kind of like draw your own conclusion. And so trying to see, like, hey, am I interpreting this right? Am I interpreting it this way? It's kind of nice to have that. So I totally
yeah,
agree. So, I mean, you've
yeah.
been in a heathen for what, 2, 3 years now?
Oh, well, I met Brandon in 2016,
Yeah, so
and I had just started looking into it and coming to it about a year before that. Um, was living in California and came across some people out there that were bro heathens, as I like to call them. Uh, but beer and Valhalla, that's what's up. It's a party thing. But they shared a few characteristics with me, and I was curious, not curious enough to hang out with these people, but curious enough to look into it, and it led me to looking into my ancestry, and looking into my ancestry put me further on the heathen path, finding out that my ancestors come from Scotland, from Normandy, from Norway. Like the further back I go, the more I'm looking at this, saying this is what my ancestors worshipped. This is what my ancestors believed, and I it drew me in, and once it drew me in, after years and years and years of looking into all different world religions, it just made sense to me.
Now, was it like an internal feeling, or was it like an earworm kind of going through your head, like some of the stuff you heard?
A little of both. A little of both. Like growing up, a character Siegfried, um, also known as Sigurd, Sigurd and Fafnir. It was one of my favorite stories. Didn't realize that that was, from the Poetic Eddas, and so it was small details like that that it's kind of like it was always there, and I just didn't realize it.
Mm.
So when I finally found it, it was just everything clicked, everything came together, and yeah, that's that's what led me here. You know, nothing else made sense. Christianity has a lot of similar values, I think, in like a community setting,
Hmm.
not necessarily like a belief setting for sure, um, but yeah, those similar values kind of helped meld me with heathenry,
Now,
if
have
that
you
makes sense.
have you? I mean, yeah, that makes total sense. Have you noticed any changes like within yourself since following this path, like walking this path?
Like what, for instance?
Like certain things that you looked at differently in the past. Do you look at it differently now? Like, um, do you view? I don't know how to exactly word this in the best way possible.
Has your worldview changed?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
certainly, certainly. My worldview has definitely changed. I don't think it had a huge impact on my worldview necessarily, but I think it had a bigger impact on how I interacted with the world. Um, and instead of I feel like it made me a little less submissive.
Mm.
Mm.
Instead of just accepting the world as it is, um, it gave me the realization that, you know, the gods aren't really there to do things for us. And it's the biggest thing that I've gotten out of it is that the gods expect us to go out there and do this shit ourselves.
Mm.
So if we see something that needs to get done, if we see something that isn't being done that needs to be, then we we have to get the drive to go and do it ourselves.
Plus, I mean,
Whereas,
there's lessons in that for us as well. It's like if they hand it to us, we don't learn, whatever lesson they kind of want us to learn along the way. We have to find that confidence and that strength within ourselves to say, hey, this is what I should be doing, and I'm not gonna back down and just keep fighting for what I want and stand your ground. Most importantly, don't let people run you over. And yeah, I mean, I totally get that.
yeah, yeah, and like I feel like as a Christian, I used to believe that the world is the way that God intended. Like you didn't have to do anything. It is what it is,
Yeah,
Brandon.
I say that all the time. So that I don't know. I think it may have been Brandon's influence on me for that one. But
They
Yeah,
say
but
people who use the phrase "it is what it is."
yeah, no, and things sometimes things are it is what it is. Um,
Well,
but more often than not, we can do something about it, and
yeah.
we need to do something about it. But
we're glad to have you here, man. Glad to have you as part of the team and all the
glad
efforts
to be
that you
here.
put in to help us grow and your willingness to create a community and have the technical background. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of like how things kind of all fall together when you're going in the right direction. We're all kind of like putting our feet forward and trying new things, and and then luckily, like I lack the Discord knowledge and all of that stuff, and then Brandon, I guess, probably does too. So more than
I
likely
think
does.
Yeah, that's
like
putting it well.
I think you proved that earlier, but so and it's luckily there you were, you have that experience, and I think that everything happens the way it should, obviously, um, to help things go the right way, the way it needs to go. But yeah, we're glad to have you here, man. The short time I've
Yeah,
got to
thank you.
know
I'm
you,
happy to be here.
totally awesome. All right, Brandon. So we never gave Brandon a formal introduction, so we're gonna let him kind of go along the same path as Luke, and talk about some of the things for him.
Well, it's been about 15 years I've been on this path. I'm actually Shane slash Jeremy's uncle. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
and we're not that far
Um,
apart in age either. That's the funny part. What
that's
You
five
can still
five
see the
years?
resemblance.
5 years? Yeah. I think we both have that
um
nose. I want to say it's like a.
that I don't know. I always thought I got cursed with my mother's nose, but it is what it is what it is.
And we have that widow's peak too, man.
But
Must be nice.
that, you just got a breezeway. That's all it is.
Yeah, sure.
You're more aerodynamic than we are. Like I'm
This
just
is true.
But it through like everything I like a seed planted. Like somebody made a comment about we were talking about I was in a group of people. We were talking about Greek and Roman mythology, and one of my buddies was like, "Well, if you like this, you should check the Norse and Celtic stuff out." So I didn't really check out the Celtic stuff for too much. I just liked the artwork at the time, but I went kind of like dove in a little bit. I was in that phase where I didn't sleep, so I did a lot of research. Um, but the more I started looking into it, the more I realized it wasn't what Marvel has made it or had made it at the time, because it's still comic books were going out. Thor's and comic books have been around since the fucking 50s, I think.
Mhm.
Um, but it kind of just it clicked, and then it was almost like I wouldn't say instantaneous, but it was a very quick change in emotion and mindset. I was when I was in high school and back, I was a very, very different person. I was trying too hard to be what my parents wanted me to be, as far as beliefs go. And it finally just came to a head where I was going to church to eat pizza because it was free.
The best reason.
free food, man.
Um, but it was the first time I had really just wanted to learn about spirituality and stuff like that. Because growing up with my pops, I had dealt with the paranormal and stuff like that for all my life. I mean, I wasn't spirituality wasn't very different. Death and questions about death, and they're like that. I was afraid of fucking everything. I was afraid of the dark. I was afraid of not being here, like dying. Um, I was very meek and mild. I had a bad temper. Don't get me wrong. I was very meek and mild, very insecure, extroverted to the point it was ridiculous. I quit playing sports for a couple of years because of it, and I was always a bigger kid, but I was super athletic, and I just stopped everything until I got to high school, and it took its toll. Like it kind of made me more and more introverted, secluded myself a whole lot, and I kind of stayed that way a little bit once I got into high school. Even though like I started coming out of my shell, I started not worrying about belief, even though I still was like, yeah, Jesus this, Satan that, whatever. I was just doing whatever. But I was just more or less getting by. And like I said, it was almost like a quick change about my attitude, how I looked at things, fear. Don't get me wrong, I still get scared, but I can act on it. I can still be capable with fear. And I don't think without my beliefs I would be able to do that. You know, that's how much it's impacted me. And I've developed quite a bit on that. I've been in a lot of situations where I've come out of it shaking because I could have very well died, and other people died as well. And but I was still able to do what I needed to do, even though the fear was there. It's like John Wayne said, courage is being scared shitless and still saddling up. Luke's been there when I've been in some shitty situations.
Yeah,
Some
took
pretty,
care of business though.
yeah, some pretty violent situations, guns, knives. I've had to experience it. But I think my lack of fear towards what's gonna happen to me when I'm gone, and because I know I'll be remembered by a select few, you know, just like Brian and Dad are. So I'm not really too worried about that. But it's that always that question of like, what's gonna happen when you get there, or what's it gonna be like, shit like that. You just don't want to be gone. I don't think anybody does, other than the select few. But that's kind of what I got. I mean, it's definitely changed me for a lot better than what I was. I don't think if I had stepped away, I would be any. I would be worse. I would have a lot more regret. Definitely. I've lived with. I don't have one regret that I live with, but my body and hurt and all that good shit to really change that. So here we are.
I mean, that's pretty interesting. I mean, you would say basically from what I got, it made you a better man and a better individual, and something that you felt, something that you held within yourself, but kind of timid to let out. So it kind of lets you push away fear and just kind of go forward and not think too much about, what'll happen. You just doing what the hell's right and what you feels right at the time. And
I mean, the only thing I can't get around is like performance anxiety. Like I still have that. Can I actually physically do this? Like what, like say like going into competitions, stuff like that. Even though I know I'm strong enough, there's always that question of like, can I fucking do it? Other than that, like it's a lot better.
I mean, I think it's a human trait to have some form of doubt. If you didn't, then you'd be something to be afraid of a little bit more.
I was about to say he already is something to be afraid of. You can't see his entire physique in the camera, but holy crap, you see him running at you, it's like facing a train.
Yeah,
Like
I couldn't imagine
you
it,
don't
dude.
you don't want to be in the way. You don't want to be in the
Right.
way.
So, it's just like what was it? The last Q&A we did, he like went outside, and I was like, I couldn't imagine having him coming out after me and just being like, I'd have a damn heart attack.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
You
I've been flattened.
like I did. Holy shit. Yeah, we were just playing basketball.
Exactly. Yeah. That was just messing around. And it was terrifying, let me tell you. And I'm not a small guy. I'm not a small guy. Smaller than I used to be, but
No, but Brandon, if he's ever in the woods, can easily get confused with being a Sasquatch. So due to how tall and how wide his shoulders are and everything, it's like that one time. Never mind. I'm gonna save that for an off the recording story to tell Luke about that one time we went walking.
Yep.
Wow, what a vague description for such a specific story. I'm gonna love this.
Why I have certain preparations before I go on walks.
Now, as far as my story, jeez. So a lot of my childhood, I wasn't raised by my mom or my dad for a majority of my life till I was about 5 years old. This is the time that she got me back, and like, I got with her. But my great grandfather at the time is who was raising me, and he was a Bible Belt Baptist preacher. Like, I was forced to pray, was forced to, listen to, you know, preaching on TV and have him read from the Bible and everything. And I remember as a kid, I had doubts, like, your parents aren't around kind of thing. You start like going, okay, why the hell am I going through this? Where's God in the whole grand scheme of things? But as I got older, my mom wasn't really too religious. My dad wasn't really too religious. No one really in my family was. Um, and then somehow, some way, I like fell into just a generic form of paganism. Like, it's kind of like encompassing Egyptian, Greek, and everything kind of like wrapped up into one. But I never knew about Norse paganism until I met him. I was 17 years old, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, it's your fault, man. I think I was like 17, 16, 17 at the time.
yeah.
And I was already pagan. And so when me and him got together, he was like, "Holy shit, you're pagan?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we just kind of thought it was weird that, like, at the time, I stepped out of Christianity too. So he wasn't alone in that aspect. But when I heard the stories about like what he believed in and everything, it just kind of like, I don't know, man. It was kind of like an earworm. Like you kind of felt it, like a little bit, like something calling you home. Like, but you don't know where the hell that home is. And Brandon had a way of like telling some of the mythos, like, and the stories and everything in a unique way. As weird as it was kind of like like sitting down with somebody and like getting a story, like a bedtime story kind of. But it was like he was telling it to me in the way that he best understood it at the time. And so I was 17, so I'm sure like his knowledge on it has grown significantly since that time. But the stuff that he did tell me, I mean, I remember it like it was damn yesterday. And like we would go on walks and stuff at like in the middle of the night, uh, out there where he lived, and we would talk about it, and I'd ask questions and just kind of go back and forth with it. And I came back home and got married and everything, and kind of screwed up, like converted to a religion to, try to make an effort to be what the marriage kind of like wanted at the time. And then after that, it's just I couldn't feel anything as far as like, you go to church, you pray, you read the Bible and everything, and it's just that stuff was just never there still. Like you were just kind of always left with like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden, that old familiar feeling with like being called home just started happening all the time again, just constant nagging. And I started getting into woodworking. First thing I went to is like making Mjolnirs and runes and stuff. It was just like instinctual. And then after that, it's just history, you know, uh, basically. But what I've learned from my time in it is for a, for a person coming up with like no father figure really in my life, it's like I kind of get that sense of a father figure through like some of the morals and everything that you learn in Norse paganism. You have that like this is what you should do as a man, and it's like it's even like you want to hear it in your head, like when you hear the Havamal, Odin's like this is what you should do now, son. Like kind of like this is how you should be. Don't don't do this this way, or don't do it this way because it's just gonna bite you in the ass later. Be a man. Stop get off your knees and go get what you want. And that's, exactly what I needed. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it's like that kick in the ass that you didn't ask for.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely was a huge kick in the ass. And I'm grateful for it because it's made me
Exactly,
who I
yeah.
am today. So can't be too bad about it. It's just like hell in the past 2 years. I've grown and changed so much in a lot of different ways to the point where it's just like, if I was to talk to myself 2 years ago, I'd be like, "What the fuck what is wrong with you? Like, stop being such a bitch." Like, it's just the way it is. But
What's that? It is what it is.
it is what it is, man. It is what it
Look at
is.
that.
We should like make that like for a Mimirs well shirt. Just like put it on the back. It is what it is.
That's some real wisdom right there.
With just like a silhouette, just going like, "Hey, it is what it is." So there's our introductions. I know that we haven't done that as of yet, and kind of dive too much into our backstories. I mean, I'm sure we've kind of spoken about it a little bit in the past with me and Brandon, and some people I'm sure could pick up the pieces and like put the puzzles together a little bit. But you know, um, now that we have like kind of laid it out there in the best way that we can, I'm sure there's more that'll probably come to our minds later, but people can always ask. Um, and if you do have questions, I'll be posting the link to the Discord in the description for this on Spotify and on YouTube. So if you want, go down there. Actually, I'm not saying if you want. If you wanted to get in part of the community, go click that link, join, and you will have an ability to hang out with all of us and ask us questions. And if you have any friends or family who feel the same or believe the same as you, or just curious about it, share that link with them. Get the word out. And also, if you haven't yet, if you're on YouTube, like the video and subscribe because we try to do live Q&As a lot and we would like to be able to connect with everybody who has subscribed so far and who also listens to us on Spotify. So I found that YouTube is kind of like the best way to merge all of that together and to answer any questions as we can live and just kind of hang out sometimes as we do. And it also here recently we've been a little bit more active on YouTube trying to grow that as well. So if you will, go hit the like and subscribe button on that, and also click the link in the description and join our Discord. But today, getting started on the details at hand. So Brandon was asked a question, yeah. So what was your question?
So this little dude I work with, he's 18-year-old kid, was grown up in the church, stuff like that. I work with, he's essentially my coworker. And he asked me because he understands I believe different. I work for a Christian company. Donors are very churchgoers and stuff like that, which they know about me and how I am. They don't care. Um, he goes, I know how I feel about it. About when people who don't believe in Christianity who wear crosses and stuff like that. And I thought to myself at the time, I was like, who the fuck does that? Like I've
Yeah.
never like
Yeah, never heard of anybody wearing a Christian symbol that didn't fully understand what they were doing with it.
I mean, I've only heard of it once, and it was a Satanist doing it just to kind of get back at the Christian community.
Ooh, so edgy.
Yeah.
But he asked me, he goes, because he knows pop culture has pretty much, done its thing with what we believe in with the show Vikings and stuff like that. Um, even the comedy show Norseman on Netflix.
I have
And I
not seen
guess
that yet.
me neither. I can't make myself watch it. I started it one time. I was like, I'm not gonna do this because
Yeah,
it might make me mad. I
it's
don't
hard to
know.
sit through. It's not really that good. Like
Nope.
even from a non-heathen perspective, it's hard to sit through.
Like extra cringy.
Yeah.
But he goes, he asked me how I feel about people who don't follow this path wearing our symbols. Like, the Till Valhalla crowd, you know, a lot of them are not anything, just people in the military who are still Christians, but they use that as like right kind of thing. And people who they think the Mjolnir looks cool, like some of the designs and stuff are pretty damn cool. So I will give them that, but they just wear it to wear it, because they like them on Mars. And I like them on Mars too. Um, it's but it's not why I wear anything. I found them like years after I started on this path. And I told him, I was like, I'm okay with a lot of it because it's a seed planet.
Mm.
And from those seeds, everything can grow. You could either grow into, a Norse pagan, or you just go, you know what? That's cool to think about. That's cool to learn about. The mythology is great, but I'm staying where I'm at. And he was kind of like, well, not every seed grows. I was like, I just fucking said that, kid. And but anyway, and he was just he wanted to know if I was kind of outraged by it. And to a point, I can be with some of the way some people act, but then I can be mad at the information getting out there. You know. Plus, you do you, boo boo.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, I know that I don't really talk about this much, but like when I joined Freemasonry, uh, before I came back to being pagan, it was a huge no-no to wear like Masonic symbology if you were not a Freemason. And it was not really of like trying to be a poser or anything. It's more of like if you do something stupid and you wear that symbology, unfortunately, society will tie you to whatever you're involved with. And then that's the way they just kind of view it. Is so if I go out and I'm dressed like a Catholic priest and I go out there and start like shooting up a school or something, then I'm putting a bad image on Catholic priests. So now, Father,
They are.
I mean, you know what I'm saying though, like Father Shanahan over here can't like walk in Walmart now without people hitting the ground. Like it's just
We run through that with the skinheads and shit like that, dude.
yeah.
Yep.
I
I
mean,
mean,
That
let me look at the Taoists and shit like that. The people and Buddhists, like everybody's got the little fat Buddha fucking floating around everywhere.
Yep. But
well,
that's why I have a policy of dealing with people on an individual basis. You're always going to have people that are going to misrepresent a group. You're always going to have people that wear symbols that they don't actually affiliate with. So, like, if the easiest way around that is to disregard everything that they're wearing and treat them as an individual, but that's not something that most humans are capable of. So,
no, and
Yeah.
you know, if you the biggest example of this is when we look at. Unfortunately, I hate to bring it up, but when we look at the SS soldiers and everything from Germany, because of people wearing those symbols and doing stupid stuff, is the reason why we face a lot of crap today. Like the reason why we can't post runes on certain stuff, the reason why Othala is like, bastardized, and Othala means like family and everything along those lines. And it's just because of somebody taking symbols that they didn't know too much about, or even maybe have had a little knowledge about, and putting it out there kind of like ruined it for years to come. And so it's like now everybody here who's coming into heathenry and coming into Norse paganism are fighting to like reinstate that as, no, this does not mean white supremacy, no, this does not mean all of this is what this means and we want it back. And you know it's just the biggest example that we could use for a situation like that. So
I think the best way to fight that though is to just continue to use those symbols as we see fit, but be better people. Like I don't even think we need to address the fact that it was used improperly before as a big issue. Address it if it comes up, sure, but like just if we're better people and we treat others better than they did, eventually we will be seen in a better light.
You got a point. I mean, you're not wrong. But I think it's. I mean, there's enough people speaking out against it anyway. They could always use more. And I've ran into through the years. I've ran into a couple things where I got associated with certain groups of people, and I've had to help people remember who I am. And I've always said the actions of a few damn the many. I mean, look at it. Look at everything else that's going on in the world. The actions of a few, damn the many. Like guilty by association, the whole shebang. It's just something that's unfortunately going to be there. It's going to be a long time before it's gone. I think it will be gone eventually. Maybe not in our lifetime, but with the right people doing the right things, it'll happen.
I mean, I think it's important that we, like you said, kind of like the way we go about it, like obviously handle it with, you know, respectfully instead of just saying, "Oh, well, I can't wear this," and just like show your ass about it, And then we just kind of like we don't look any better than the people in the past who have taken those symbols. And I think it's like now, if we want to reclaim those symbols, we have to make what we do now be at least good enough to kind of blanket over. I mean, obviously those wounds will always be there from this amount of people, like what the Germans did and everything. But what we can do is blanket it and try to patch some of it as best as we can, and just to be like, hey, this does not mean this, and we are aware that it was misused, but this is how we are, and we are not like this. And unfortunately, uh, as we all know, who are in this community, that there is groups who unfortunately still see inside with some of the opposite, like the symbology that should not be the way it is. And they're still all for the way that the Germans were and everything. And we, I mean, this has got to come out eventually, but uh, we are not. I'm sure as all three of us sit here and can all attest to that, under no circumstances are we in any way associated or affiliated with AFA or this Declaration 127 shit. I do not believe race to be a factor of whether or not you can believe a certain thing or what have you, and I do not condone uh, the racism in the community under any circumstances. If you feel called to the gods, you worship the gods, and I've said this before on previous episodes. And and if you feel like you're not accepted by some people, come to us. I mean, we have a community growing. We're starting a community. We'll embrace you. And you don't have any worries here, and we kind of actually have our eye on stuff like that, especially with the community going forward. So any racism or trolling or bullying or whatever is not going to be tolerated, and it'll be dealt with in a way that is seen fit, and we'll all see to that going forward. But as far as the symbology goes, that's a huge example of like what can happen to symbols if used improperly or worn by people who do not, what's the word
Who
I'm
don't
looking
deserve
for?
it.
Yeah, don't deserve it for one, but who don't hold the meaning of what they're wearing truthfully to themselves. So, you know, if you wear Mjolnir, you're Norse pagan, obviously, or you're heathen or whatever. There's a symbology there that we believe that it, brings protection. We believe that it, it's just kind of like our daily reminder in a way of like, this is who we need to be. This is what we need to strive for. We need to be better. And then I always kind of in my head always say, we have to be like Thor in a lot of ways because from all the stories we read, Thor has like a really good moral kind of background with a lot of some of the decisions he's made, and he's kind of like that dad figure in a way. So it's just kind of like that's the way I kind of view it. So I'm just kind of curious, like where do you guys stand on like Mjolnir, like wearing it, for example?
Well, I feel similarly about it. I feel like it's both. I wear it for both protection and I wear it as a responsibility. Like there have definitely been times, since coming to the faith that I have not felt worthy of wearing my Mjolnir, and so I haven't. Uh, Maybe I was worthy, maybe I wasn't, but I didn't feel like I could properly represent uh, the faith, the community. Uh, so I chose not to wear it. But as soon as I found my strength again, and I felt like I was worthy of representing the gods, then yeah, I would wear it again. I see it as both protection and a very heavy burden to be carried, but it's a burden worth carrying.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely understand. I definitely feel that because it's a daily reminder of you have certain things that you got to live up to, and if you feel like you're not living up to those certain things, then you don't feel worthy enough to stand behind that and just say, "Hey, this is where I'm at." So I mean, I totally agree. I totally feel that. What about you, Brandon?
I've always had a generic kind of quick answer for people who ask me like, why would I wear it? And I was like, well, it's the same premise to get out of the conversation or to kind of help them understand quicker. Same premise as a Christian wearing a cross. It's a representation of your faith. To me, it's a universal symbol of what we believe in. Yes, does it symbolize protection? Um, it is a reminder that I am strong enough to face my own giants, and it is a reminder that I am not only a man, I'm a father and a protector, and I will wield my own hammer if I have to. And it is the hammer is heavy. To agree with Luke,
I
that's
mean,
the
yeah, I mean, it's like with great power comes great responsibility kind of thing, and there's a lot of damn responsibility behind that, and you know,
and I have it tattooed all over me. Like it's a symbol I always go back to. You know, not only like I'm not a Thorsman. Like people who are dedicated to Thor, as patron and stuff like that. If anything, I'm more dedicated to Magni. Um, but not only it's just it's a symbol that it's easy to embrace. It has the basic meaning that you need just to get you through your day.
I mean, I know that there's some stuff that I've heard some people talk about, and I've read some things about like certain rituals you do with it when you get a new one. Like, do you like? Some people talk about putting it through like different elements, or you gotta like add blood or sweat to it to do something like that. And I mean, there's so many different takes on like ways to like consecrate the uh, Mjolnir. So I mean, is there anything that you do specifically with yours, like like I take mine off and I set it on my altar, like when I go to sleep at night, and then if I'm just like, you know, doing some yard work or something throughout the day or whatever, I just kind of like keep it off to the side.
You want to go, Luke, or you want me to go?
Luke says he's got nothing, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really do anything special with a new one. I mean, the first one I bought, it was, you know, cheap pewter. Uh, so I mean, wasn't anything special. I didn't feel like it needed consecrating or anything. Plus, I was still new to the faith. But the one that is important to me, it's it has spiritual significance in itself just because of where it came from. This was Brandon's before it was mine, and that's a big deal to me. Like it's an honor to wear this. In fact, it makes it a whole lot heavier because, you know, not only do I have to live up to the hammer now, but now I have to live up to Brandon's expectations, and you know, I
It's like
those are good expectations to live up to.
it's
So
like an oath ring in a way. Yeah, I've heard various different things like consecrating a millionaire or what have you, because it like adds like a special thing to it. It's the same way like you would consecrate runes. Like once you make a rune set, typically people add blood to the back of it to infuse a part of themselves with the rune and make it like an offering. And there's so much literature actually behind that method that it's pretty crazy. Um, and I mean, I've read several different things, watched several different videos, and it's pretty cool how, you know, somehow something to do with like a blood sacrifice going through it and everything. Yeah, it's just kind of odd, but it works. It really does.
I
I
guess it
just
goes into the idea of putting your blood, sweat, and tears into something.
it's like a sacrifice, obviously, but it's also like had something to do with like lineage and ancestry and like tying all of that in, like regardless of your background, obviously, or whatever, you know, whether you're Irish, Hispanic, or whatever. It's just because the blood has a lot of power in it. That's the reason why blood magic was so popular with like Icelandic cultures and stuff back in the day, especially with all the ice like the shamanism and kind of aspects of it back then. So this it kind of bleeds into some of it. No pun intended, but you know, it's just you know it's just the
Ah, I
way it
love
is.
it.
But yeah. No, I mean, so as far as you know, going back to topic, but as far as the symbology goes, I think it's like Mjolnir is like like an outward expression of our faith, like same way a cross would be. And I can see, you know, yeah, I'm okay with people wearing it, planting, you know, the seeds or getting curious about it. And I know that we're seeing like there's a lot more curiosity nowadays because of Vikings and because of, you know, Thor and because of Assassin's Creed Valhalla and all of these games that's kind of coming out now uh geared around, you know, Vikings and the Norse and all of this stuff. So now everybody's, you know, plastered with symbology and some of these people don't even know what it means. And it's just it's I think it's important to like if you're gonna wear it, do your research. Make sure you know what it is you're wearing because people will ask you questions and you don't want to like give them the wrong answer.
Or they just say, "Oh, look cool."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like somebody wearing a Nirvana T-shirt, and you walk up and say, "Oh, I love that band," and they say, "Yeah, he's great," as if it's just one person,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they can't name a song, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
or oh, this is a band.
it's like people
Yeah.
who like wear band shirts and they've never heard of the band. That's a totally like don't get me started on that.
People walking around these days wearing a Ramones shirt. It's like, yeah, you listen to them. Fuck, whatever.
I mean, it's like one year for Christmas, I was given like I was my sister bought me like a Highway to Hell ACDC jacket. I hate ACDC. Like it just gets on my nerves. I mean, you know, unpopular
Just
opinion, I guess, but it's but I wore it just because you know it's like hey, you know, it was a gift, whatever. But yeah. So I mean, symbology can it's a tough one really. As
What you
far
do with the symbol tells a lot about the person.
mm,
Like, if they have it, don't do anything with it, then yeah, like they don't know what the fuck's going on. But like you guys discussed, like things that y'all have done with your hammers and stuff. I've had mm, this is my third, um, and this one was gifted to me because I was in a aggravated situation in the middle of a street while I was working, and my old one got ripped off of me, and I couldn't find really a chain because I have a large neck. And I couldn't go just to your run of the mill jewelry area and find one to fit my big ass. So little dude that I worked with at the time, who believes he was just getting into the Norse paganism stuff like that, and he was like, okay, and he's one of those people like he attaches to people really quick, and he attached me, and like I had still not he asked me like every day, have you found a necklace yet? Found a necklace yet? And finally he walked up to me and gave me a box, and he gave me this, like it's pure silver, handmade, you know,
damn.
more than he should have ever paid for. Like I was I was appreciative, and but it was mad. I was mad because of how much money he spent on me because he had no reason to. And but when I wear my necklaces, like my old one is a actual piece that a blacksmith had made. He only made like three of the design. It was heavy. It was surgical steel, super heavy. Loved it though. Like even to the point where I ran with it on one time and it fucking smacked me in the face. You know that's how heavy that bitch was. It hurt. And but I would take that off at night and in the shower and stuff like that. And, I had my ritual of when I did that. I did this and then I said that. That's what works for me. I did it for years, absolute years. And in one of our earlier podcasts, I talked about how training is my ritual, and my sweat and effort is basically my sacrifice for a lot of things. This is because that is me. That is what works for me. That is my that you Luke knows how much of my life that is. That is basically my essence. Um, if I never compete again, I will still train like I'm going to. It's just me. And I never this one right here, the only time it comes off is when something happens and it falls off. Like it break like the little like a link gets stretched out and I have to fix it, falls off while I'm working on a car or some shit like that while I'm underneath. But training it stays on. Any physical activity it stays on. Work, shower, whatever have you. Everyday life it is pretty much my essence everywhere on it. It is covered in other than like it's probably even had some blood.
Mm.
But to me, like the type of hammer you have, I guess like the kind of like the design and stuff like that, kind of to me, like in the earlier years, it represented the type of like who you are. Like my hammer that I still haven't I don't wear it anymore because I still just haven't found a necklace that I want to go on. It's very this was a nice gesture gift and I owe him that. So I wear it. But to me that one hammer is the best representation of me as a heathen. It is basic, rough, and it is built to last. And
It's the big clunky one, right? Like the one that
there's
literally
a lot of
looks.
yeah, and it's to me like not to in the most humblest way possible. That is me to a T. So and a lot of people, I've had some people disagree with that because it just didn't make sense to them. Um, it's the stuff that you choose. symbol wise is what says a lot about you. It's like I have a huge draw to Uruz, the rune, and it's tattooed on me, a couple places. Probably will be again because that is the rune I am most drawn to. Though the only other one that I'm drawn to the almost to them equally is Thorazos. It is what they represent, what they bring to the table. Um, to me, like they are a part of me. And it's a little bit deeper than I think y'all probably wanted to go into, but that's
No,
where
no,
I'm
no.
at with. Like I've been in this long enough where I've seen this stuff. Like certain elements, certain symbols represent certain elements. They have elemental qualities, stuff like that, and those will also like those are what's drawn to you.
I mean, it's
You're,
very similar to like when people make rune sets and they use different stones for each rune because every rune has its, works better with like a certain crystal or a certain gem type of aspect.
I have one of those sets. It was special made for me by a brother, by a man that I consider my brother. I love him to death, but he is big into stonework. Their everything they do, the energy they produce, and cold and all that good stuff. What they mean, what symbols they best go with. It's just him. But he's also a medium. All that like
Talking about Shane, right?
he is more in touch with all that than I ever will be.
Dude, I remember when I lived up there, Shane gave me this huge, like, it looked like this. It was like a huge block of obsidian to sleep with under my pillow. Like, and he was like hell bent on it, and I had it for years, man. Like, and I don't know what happened to it, but yeah, I even had it when I moved back down here, and yeah, he's intense. He really is. Like being around him up there, some of the deep conversations and stuff we've had. He's an intense guy. I'd love to have him on air. Like that'd be awesome to bring him on. And
I would love to as well, but he is a very busy fucking man. Like he's got his husband, two fiancées now, which is other men. He is homosexual, which is
I mean,
quite okay. It is quite okay. It doesn't change him as a person at all. Whatever. He is happy,
I know
and
he
that's
was back then. Like it was pretty, openly talked about, and like, I didn't care. I'm not like homophobic or transphobic or whatever.
I think for people forget about happiness. Like I saw that dude go through hell,
Hmm.
like the worst situations with ex-wives, all that shit. So my boy is happy, so I'm happy. But I would love to have him on here, but he is super busy. He'll be around for the wedding in April. Yeah, he's one of the groomsmen.
Yes, finally I'll be able to meet him. Heard
You
so much
haven't
about the guy.
you haven't
Like,
met him yet?
no,
Damn.
no, I just missed him when I left to live in California in 2017. He came to visit like right after I left.
So yeah, so I'm not familiar with crystals and like some of the symbols. I like what they're capable of. I have a few of them. Obviously, I have, but I'm just like maybe it's because I haven't connected with them in a certain way yet. That apparently you might have to connect with them in. But other than that, I just
I know I can't be around hematite.
I remember that you said that hematite makes you feel sick, like you got the flu.
Makes me feel sick and it burns. Like I can feel it before I get there. Like nothing else feels like it. It's like an energy burn. Yeah.
I'm like that with silver. I can't wear silver on my neck, or else all this like kind of like rots almost. It's like it gets really bad, and like my whole neck will just look like I'm like a reptile almost. I'm like heavily allergic to silver, heavily allergic to nickel, and I'm heavily allergic to aluminum. So me and metals, we don't we don't go too well for some reason. And I've always heard there's like probably some kind of spiritual like reason that is, but I've never delved into too much. But so
And
far,
that could be Could be a whole lot of anything.
Yeah.
Like
It's just
that affects the kind of deodorant you can use.
yeah, I use natural stuff, which works just like
Yeah.
normal deodorant. I think it's like Tom's or whatever it is. It works. And then that's the reason I had to
Or
grow that.
Swatch.
No, so there's a local person here who I'm gonna give them a shout out anyway, I guess. But it's called Bollweevil Soap Company because like the boll weevil's like the symbol of where I live, and they make soap and stuff like out of goat's milk and all this other stuff. And it's got like cedar oil, citrus, and all sorts of stuff, and that's what I use. And it's got like no metals, and it's all natural. And so I use that, and then I use like the oil that they have with like some stuff from like my beard and my face and everything. And they have like lotion and everything too. And then as far as deodorant goes, just Tom's with no aluminum in it, and you walk around and you smell like you just like walked out of like some essential oils and shit, but it's strong as hell, but you don't ever stink. That's the plus side of it. And then this,
Hey,
That's
winner.
the point.
yeah, I mean it works great for what it is. It aggravates me, man. I just don't know. And I've always kind of like I've tried to research like is there any like spiritual significance or whatever, like the metaphysical science behind an allergy like this or whatever. The only thing you can ever find is like maybe it's like how you died or in your past life or some crap. I don't know. It's just
You got a silver bullet because they thought you were a werewolf.
you know, who knows? I could just go stand out in the full moon and see what happens. You know, you'll never know. I might be that cryptid that they were talking about up the road. You'll
Just keep
never
your
know.
clothes on.
Might explain why I wake up with muddy feet every morning. Might explain.
I think that's so.
Either that or I'm just like, always walking in some high shit. Who knows? But yeah. So we have that. So the symbology thing or symbolism thing is I think it's pretty huge of a topic. I mean, it's not one that I mean, it would definitely could go on and on and on because I know that there's so many people who go and get like bind runes and staves tattooed on them and they don't know what it means. And
The big one around here is that Berserker rune
oh god,
from fucking anime.
yeah,
I'm like, nothing about this is historical. Like, I've seen it, like, cool, great, violent fucking thing. But nothing about it is Norse. Like, there's no historical backing at all. But fuck if it is anywhere.
now there is, for those who are listening, there is sorta a berserker rune or Icelandic stave, but I have to remember where I found it because I know the Odin's illusionary rune or stave is sometimes associated with being a berserker. Like supposedly the Ulfdenar used to wear it around their necks on leather or no copper or something, and it like
Yeah.
made them invisible to their enemies. And that's kind of like what it's meant for.
I know there's a bunch of symbols that aren't bind runes at all. There's no runes at all. They're staves. And a couple of them are for there's two different ones that mean the same thing, which is it brings spirits in to your enemies. Um, and it's a lot of stuff like that. I think in combination could work for what you want, but they don't look cool, so nobody's going to want to use them. I've only seen like one person that had them. I'm not quite sure why they had them. So I'm not even sure if that person knows what they mean. They're like, okay, I'm the one person on the fucking planet that thinks they look cool, so I'm gonna get them.
From what I've gathered about Icelandic staves and bind runes from my study on it, every rune has its specific energy. So when you combine them together, it's like crossing wires. And
Yeah.
sometimes those will not go together. And you can bring more harm on yourself than good. Like you could sit there all day and combine Lagus with Thuraz and or whatever, and but you is unless you and if you don't have an in-depth knowledge about the runes and how they work, you could like curse yourself. You could curse you could kill your ass. I mean, you don't know what you could be bringing down on yourself. It's just like going and saying, "What do these wires do?" And just like,
Yeah. I mean,
I
that can happen. Like, there's certain things that just aren't meant to go together. And plus, like, bind runes do what it's in the name. They can bind you to something.
mm-hmm. And you don't want to bind
And
yourself to something that you didn't intend to.
let's face it, most of the time, you don't want to be bound to a deity. Like, being a patron is one thing, but being completely bound spiritually to one because of a fucking symbol you had tattooed on you because you had no idea what the fuck you're doing, I mean, that's a
mean,
problem.
I feel like I knew enough of what I was doing when I tattooed my maker's mark, which is a bind rune. But I put together Tiwaz, Uruz, and I'm drawing a blank on it now.
Is it Kenaz?
No, just one second.
I mean, you showed it one time.
Yeah, algaes, Tiwaz, Uruz, and algaes together, and yeah, algaes is technically upside down, but my intention with it was, I wanted my maker's mark on my knives. I wanted my knives to be uh, tools empowered to defend justice,
Mm.
and those are like the core meaning behind those runes. So uh, maybe I mixed something up. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. I haven't noticed any negative effects from having it tattooed on me.
Yeah.
But I feel like the spirit in which I put into binding those runes together also had an effect on it.
Yeah, I mean, the way it was explained in some of the. Go ahead.
Energy plays a big part with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The energy you put out while you're fucking cutting your toenails could play a part in anything. That's just how. I mean, energy to a lot of people like play a major part in their life,
Yeah.
and that's just legit. Like I've experienced enough in my life where I'm like, yep, that if there's anything else, the energy for things is there.
I think it's all about the energy you put into it. Obviously, like you were saying, but it's also like when you create an Icelandic stave, it's all about drawing the right circuitry. Everything is circuitry. I mean, because and if you wanted to look at it in a literal, deep sense of the word, we as human beings, we're full of electricity, right? So anything can affect that, and obviously we can pass that electricity on to other things. So it's like, for an example, Brandon's seen it. There's a video I had where I took a tree branch, like from that, like I had a birch tree in my backyard. I cut it down, and I chopped up the thing in slices and made a rune set out of it. But as I was drawing the runes on it, if you listen really closely to the video, you can hear like electricity crackling in the runes themselves, and they were only just drew on at the time. They weren't fully wood burnt in. So it kind of like can testify in a way. I hate to use that word, but it's like it can kind of just like confirm. I guess it's a confirmation that those symbols have their own amount of electricity. A rune set has its own amount of electricity, and everything has its own personality. Like Thuris has its own personality, and I kind of view the runes as like living entities in a way, because if there's several things where the runes can speak to you, so obviously they have a living form in a way of communicating and reaching out to you. So having that, and then having that in your mind as you're creating it, and just go with what you feel like in a meditative state or what have you, more than likely you're not going to come out wrong when you do it. But if you go and you copy somebody's thing, it's just because they said it looked cool. It's like that. What is it? A lot of times we get Chinese tattoos, and then the Chinese like laugh at us because it like it's not. It does not mean good luck. It does not mean good fortune. It like means pig or something stupid. Like, uh,
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of the
but
same. It's kind of the same thing.
to throw it out there, if anybody watching the video sees this, maybe if I can get a clear shot of it, if that is not correct or if that is something terrible, please just let me know. I can always get it covered up.
No, I think it's fine. I mean, I've done enough reading on binaries and staves, and I've drawn a few myself, and because I felt like when I was woodworking and doing wood burning and creating rune sets, it's important to know about the the flow of the electricity. I even when I do the runes, I even do them in a certain order to maintain that flow of electricity between them. And then I don't ever coat them with anything like polyurethane or whatever. I have respect for them and cover them in like beeswax and citrus oil, so that way it's like all natural. Everything's good to go with it. But so I guess for the listeners out there, do you do metallurgy work or like woodwork or?
Um, I I I do. I'm currently unable to do anything. Um, I don't have a forge. I don't really even have a mediocre shop to work with. So, uh, trying to get that back together. One day, hope to have my own blacksmith shop, and I want that to be the only thing that I do because I will sit there in the shop all day, every day, making whatever I want, whatever anybody else wants.
Now, do you leather
Uh,
work too?
Leather is the one medium that I don't have a lot of experience with. I've done some leather engraving. Uh, I've got it around here somewhere, but I've only done like one thing. So I can work with wood, I can work with metal, but that's that's most of it. Mostly knives, but I've been known to make. Uh, actually did make an aluminum sculpture for the local hospital years ago with my mentor.
Oh,
Um,
that's really cool.
but that was a long time ago. It was yeah, it was a lot of fun, good time.
When it comes
But
down to metal work, the only thing I've ever done is like straighten out a lawnmower blade using my, take the grill grates off my grill, crank up the propane, let it heat up, and just bang it out. Ding, ding. And dude, I
all
mean,
right, see,
it felt great to do that. You know what I'm saying? It's
it
just
it feels great, but you see, you messed those up just by doing that. Just by heating it up, you messed those up because did you quench them afterwards?
yeah, yeah. I quenched them.
Okay, what did you quench them in?
I had some old motor oil that I had.
Exactly. See, so it takes a lot of research to know, what to do, how to do it, how to heat treat. And heat treating is probably more of a science uh, eh, that most other things about blacksmithing. It's very delicate in the heat treating process.
See,
The smithing aspect though, the heat and beat, that's where the fun's at.
I mean, I don't know if I could. It's just like I don't have the patience for it. Like I get frustrated with like woodworking, and then I mean, I think in a way I feel like metal's more forgiving, and you can like go back and fix what you screw up. Whereas wood, once you shave that off, it's done. It's permanent.
Yep.
You can't go back and fix that. And
Yep,
so,
I can weld something onto another piece of metal and make something work, but you make that one wrong nick on some wood, and that's it. You start over.
see, because I've done many altars before. I've done several different things, and I've been thinking about like getting into. It's too foreign for me to be able to pronounce it properly without butchering it. but it's like you probably know what I'm talking about. Like when you take the nail, coat the wood in like salt water solution, and then add another nail, and then connect it to like electricity on both sides, and it sends like the
Oh,
electrical current.
electrolysis.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's not electrolysis. Electrolysis is a
It's
method
called
of
like
removing
lick.
rust.
Is it Lickenstein? It's lick something. Like,
I'm not sure.
but
There's a guy around here that does it. Toller.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean it looks super cool. Like, and I've seen people take that and like put like blue resin in it, and then like it'll like lightning bolts. And I've seen people do that with Norse altars too for like Thor and everything. They'll incorporate that into it as well. And to me, I'm just like that. That's a really cool way of doing it. I would love nothing more than to start doing that with stuff like. I mean, think about like creating like a Thor statue or what have you, and then just all of a sudden you have like real electrical spikes like burnt into it. That'd be pretty awesome. But yeah, as soon as you get your stuff up, man, we'll definitely have to mention that in one of these episodes and let everybody out there know that you do it. If you set up like a shop or something, plug it in there
Hell yeah.
and get it going. I used to run an Etsy shop, Yggdrasil Woodworks, for a while, and I don't do it anymore. Simply because I started getting really busy at work. I do have a lot of stuff I still need to finish. I got like half done altars and half done god totem, statues that I got to finish up. But uh, it actually just kind of like makes me go, I need to get back to that. Like start enjoying it. But yeah, I mean, I think the talk about bind runes and staves and everything will kind of is kind of a good segue to go into before we end this episode, because in the moments we have in the works some people who are involved with divination in multiple ways, such as tarot, runes, bones, and various different aspects of that. And so I'm hoping to do that in a multi segment thing where each one of our guests will have an opportunity to discuss certain things that they deal with, certain ways they approach it, for all the listeners out there to get different insights into everything as far as that goes. And then the one on runes, obviously, I think it's going to could be a lengthy one depending on how well it goes, because I know a lot. I'm sure we all know a lot and we all have a lot of input on it. So, I'm curious to hear from another person's perspective, like their way of approaching doing rune readings and, interpreting, because everybody interprets everything differently. I mean, I've seen tarot readings where, the Four of Wands can mean one thing to one person, but it means something else to somebody else. And
Oh,
so, yeah, it's all about perspective.
we forgot something. Like one of the bigger aspects of the hammer symbol. It's used for blessing and hallowing.
That's right. We didn't talk about that.
Meals, funerals, weddings, the whole shebang. Like the Milner is like what they use to bless everything.
Yeah, because
Uh,
Thor even used it in the stories to hallow the weddings and hallow everything and bless everything. Yeah, so I definitely forgot about that.
yeah, I can't believe I fucking sat here and did that.
I mean,
That
at least you remembered it before we ended this. Like, and I'm
I was just
glad. I mean, and it's something too. Maybe an idea going forward. Like, I can keep this in the episode or maybe edit it out, but probably like going forward, like talking about Norse weddings. Like, how do people in heathenry, how does how do you get married? Like, because everybody uses like different ways of approaching it. I know for a fact, like I'm certified to actually marry people. Uh, so you can go online. Actually, it's free to do it. All they gotta do is like pay for like the little certificate or whatever and the card that they mail you to say, yeah, you're certified or whatever. but I'm certified in
You
two
know,
different ways.
that's like one of the last things we're having issues finding is someone who won't do the wedding because it's non-religious, even though it has like it's gonna have hand fasting and stuff like that. But it's not gonna be pagan, but it's not gonna be Christian. But even though that thing is a is a pagan aspect, that's what Jamie wants to incorporate that 'cause she really enjoys that aspect of it. She loves the meaning behind it and the fact that each color has like a different meaning. She loves it. So that's what we're doing, but we're having a hard time finding an officiate.
Well, we're gonna have to teach Luke how to do it, right?
It's the groove. He can't do it.
What? Oh yeah. Okay, that's right. That's right. Man,
Luke's
if
the
you did,
grooves.
I mean, if you move it down to Alabama, I'll gladly help you out.
You better bring your ass up here. You gotta figure out that shit.
We'll figure it out. We'll
Gotta
talk.
at least come have some Jameson.
I'm glad that we kind of got into some aspects that's going to tie into our other episodes. So, if anyone has any questions, you can reach out to all of us at Mimirs podcast at gmail.com. However, we would also prefer you to click the link below, join the Discord, and you can ask a question. And when there will, more than likely, we're always there, but we do need sleep. So, like, other than the times that we need sleep, we're there. So we will gladly answer any questions that you have. And don't sit here and be discouraged. No question is, too small, or we're not going to view it as like this is a dumb question or anything. You're more than welcome to ask anything about it, and we'll gladly answer it.
Yeah, and I'd like to say, I prefer, I think we prefer that you join the Discord and come ask us questions there because there we can actually have a full-on conversation instead of
Yeah.
just a comment thread where it's, limited by characters and, outsiders, people that aren't even affiliated with Heathenry whatsoever can come and comment on it and do whatever. So yeah, come have a conversation with us.
Yes.
And then the best part, hit the subscribe button and ring the little bell.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
like the videos so that way we show up in the little algorithms of YouTube. This channel for YouTube is growing like crazy. We were at 100 subscribers when we did our first Q&A, and then now we're at almost 400. So, and that was what, 2 weeks ago? So
Yep.
it's steadily climbing. Also on the YouTube, we have pretty much YouTube exclusive only ritual music and meditation stuff to kind of get you in the mood for, whatever rituals you want to do. If you want to do rune readings, if you do, like Brandon said, any other stuff. But if you were like, if you like that to do whatever it is that you like to do, whatever your craft is, we put that out there. I specially tune everything in the ritual music to certain frequencies that heighten certain sensitive parts of your brain, to also increase concentration, to raise your natural DMT levels in your brain, to help you feel like you're connecting to the gods or to whatever in that moment to help you out. So, I mean, go check those out as well. But we also like doing this, the podcast aspect. So please give us a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so that way you get notified of any time we drop a ritual video, anytime that we go live, or anytime that we come out with some new content. We're working on getting some guests, as you've heard us mention just a few minutes ago. And as soon as we get that nailed down, we'll be keeping everything in Discord updated. We're going to kind of do like a news feed, I guess, going forward, like posting in the general thing, hey, we're going live at this time, kind of thing with our community, and saying this is, be on the lookout for this video coming out, and be on the lookout for all the other details as well. So we got some cool stuff that we're working on behind the scenes to answer any questions that anyone may have that may have not just answered it, because I don't know, some people may be like me and just just don't like asking questions. So I just kind of hope that one day somebody talks about it, and I'll get my answer. But we encourage everyone to just come hang out with us in the community. Share what you do. If you have a craft, we have a section in the Discord for that. If you, woodwork, do tattoos, if you do whatever, Luke's got it all set up to where there's special little sections for that. We also have a literature section as well. So if there's any kind of books you're interested in, if it's even non-heathen related, drop it in there. Because I'm sure we all don't just read heathenry stuff 24/7. We all like different varieties of things. So go check out the Discord. Jump in there, hang out with us. Keep your eye out for any time we go live. We would love to talk to everyone and answer any live questions that you may have, and just shoot the hell. We're all in different parts of the country, obviously. Besides these two, they're basically down the road from each other almost, or
Yeah, like 30 minutes.
yeah. So they're a little bit closer.
Yeah.
But we'd love to hang out with everyone, whether or not you're whatever country you're from, whatever. You're always welcome here. So we love that you've had us on for this long to hear our opinions on things. If you have your opinions on things too, drop a comment below. Hit us up on Discord as well. I'm really pushing the Discord because it's probably the best way to get the fastest response from any of us. Yeah, we'll hope to see you soon, and look forward to dropping these new episodes and hopefully talk to you on Discord. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.